and I would take notes in shorthand, and then I would type up copies for the different departments, the set designers and the costume department and the music department, and let everybody, he wanted to let all of them know what his plans were so that we could coordinate all the different departments and turn out the best material. So that was part of my job, but I also did everything for him. Went home with him too and did a lot of the paperwork at home for the production. But White Christmas was my first experience in working with him, and he had other assistants, particularly a man called Ernie Flatt, who was a very fine dancer and could do any of the work that he wanted to put on, and then he could coach the other dancers or the stars.
So he had an assistant that helped.
He had more. Well, they were called stand-ins too. For example, Ernie was the stand-in, even though he was a great dancer. Usually the top stand-in is with the top stars. So I believe he was Bing Crosby's stand-in, and Bing Crosby was not a great dancer. But he kept up with the dancing in White Christmas because Ernie worked with him a lot. My father's chief dance assistant. Then there were 4 of them. Vera-Ellen was Rosemary Clooney's dance assistant, and Joan Bailey was Vera-Ellen's dance assistant, and Danny Kaye was his first name was Hal. I can't remember his last name. So they all had dance assistants. So after my father worked out the routines, these dance assistants would go aside somewhere and work with the star that they were assigned to and produce, so that my father didn't have to. He could concentrate on what the chorus was doing, while his 4 dance assistants would coach the stars individually. Then when he called to shoot the number, he assumed the dance assistants had taught the stars how to fit in to the whole production. And of course, he would ask them first before he got to that point, do you think Bing is ready? Or do you think Danny is ready, or Vera? Or of course, Vera was a great dancer to begin with. But Rosemary Clooney and Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby were not dancers. However, there was a great number that Danny Kaye danced in with just a group of girls, and it was a spoof on one of the modern dancers that was teaching a style that was very much the rave of the time. And so Danny Kaye did a wonderful spoof with these girls, and I'm trying to think of the star, but it's written in some of the books, I believe. And Danny Kaye came to me later, and he was so thrilled because he said, your father made me look like a real dancer. And then he had another dance routine along kind of a wharf where he's running back and dancing with Vera-Ellen, and he did a great job. But Danny was very athletic, and he had been on quite a few Broadway shows, and I believe my father choreographed a show called The Boys from Syracuse on Broadway with Danny Kaye and Jimmy Savo, maybe? I think that's how it was. So Danny was an old friend, and he really loved my father, who made him feel good about whatever he did.